The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought, but it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds, and here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Amachanga malungi erigwe munange atwekumiddeko era akedde naffe oba gwe atulabira mu bitundu by'eggwanga eby'enjawulo nkwaniriza ku program ya Mighty Drive era nga nze Omumbejja Luwedde Lilian okubanga njikutuusako olunaku luno olwaleero. Ennaku z'omwezi ziri 15 omwezi tulimu gwa April omwaka 2025. Nze Omumbejja Luwedde Lilian era nga nkwaniriza nnyo ku Mighty Drive olunaku olwaleero. Tulina omukyala Gift Nakayinga era ono mental health expert. Tugenda kuba tutunuulira ensonga ya mental health butya bw'osobola okubanga obwongo bwo obukumira mu shape oba obukumira mu position ennungi okulaba ng'ate naabwe wenogera ku sente amaanyi g'oteeka mu kunoonya ensimbi g'olina okuteeka ate mu kulaba nga obwongo bwo buli mu mbeera ate eyeeyagaza oba nga buli mu mbeera eyo esanyusa. So tugenda kuba tutambulira awo olunaku olwaleero. Nsaba okozesa comment section buuza ebibuuzo ebyetaaga okuba nga obuuza butya bwe tusobola okwadvocatingira ensonga ya mental health okulaba nga eterera kubanga bw'otunulira eggwanga lyattu Uganda lirimu ku mawanga 6 mu Africa agalimu ensonga y'abantu abalina okutawaanyizibwa ku bwongo. Ezo nno issues ziba zibatawanya ku bwongo. Abamu balina stress, abalala balina anxiety, depression, bipolar n'ebirala bingi nnyo. So bwe libanga eggwanga lyattu Uganda liri ku mawanga 6 agalimu obuzibu buno waliwo ekyetaaga okubanga kikolebwa. So we tugenda okubanga tutambulira naye nga tanaba kubanga atwegattako tugenda kubanga nkuwa ebimu ku ebyo ebikoze amawulire. NRM yalaunchinze roadmap yayo oba election roadmap munange ne leader of opposition mu parliament Joel Sonyonyi yafulumiza olukalala oluliko amanya g'ababaka abagenze maaso n'okubanga basayininga ku kiwandiiko ekiwakanya okufuna essente okuva ew'omukulembeze w'eggwanga. Bimu ku ebyo biri mu updates zaffe z'olunaku olwaleero era njagala ntine ntuuka ate no munnange wengenda okubanga nze kuweera mu bujjuvu oba okutuusaako ebimu ku ebyo ate no munnange ebikoze amawulire osobola okubanga obitegeera bulungi nnyo. Tubenga tutambulira ku PCM omanye ebigenda maaso mu ggwanga weewaawo ate ne mu bitundu by'eggwanga ebyenjawulo. So ngenda kubanga updates zaffe nzitandikirawo butereevu n'omukulembeze w'eggwanga General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni yabadde mitiyana era nga eno agenda maaso n'okubanga alondoola enteekateeka eya parish development model okulaba wa weetuuse nabaani abasobodde okubanga ate munnange baganyulwamu. Mubende yonna yali mu kulambula weewaawo n'emitiana era nga munnange ono nno yagenze maaso n'okubanga asookera ekyankwanzi ewa Patrick Matovu era ng'ono y'omu ku abo abaakozesa ssente eza parish development model okulaba ng'ate naye yejja mu bwavu. Eno nno waliyo abalunzi b'ente, abalunda enkoko, abalimi ate munnange abalima ebirime ebyenjawulo. Weewaawo n'abaako naye obubaka bwe yabategeezezza nti munnange gavumenti eri mu kulaba nga egezaako nnyo okulaba nti ebatuusaako obuweereza obulungi okugeza amasomero aga bonna basome weegali nnyo mube nga mugettanira weewaawo n'enteekateeka endala mpitirivu nnyo. So enteekateeka n'okulambula abo bonna abaganyuddwa mu parish development model omukulembeze w'eggwanga agitaddemu nnyo amaanyi era n'abiteekamu engatto okulambula ebitundu by'eggwanga ebyenjawulo okulaba butya abantu bano basobodde okubanga bakozesa ssente ezo ate mu ngeri y'okubanga bejjira ddala mu bwavu. So eyo nno bw'atyo bwe yasobodde okubanga atuukayo era neyebaza nekereziyo omulimu gwekoze mu kulaba nti eyambako n'abantu okubanga bejjira ddala ate mu bwavu. So njagala nno eryeggulire ndiveeko kipayopayo nti netinengende kuggulire eddala akolera oludda oluwabula government mu parliament omukulu Joel Ssenyonyi. Olunaku olweggulo yabadde n'olukuŋŋaana lwa bannamawulire nga mu lukuŋŋaana luno yagenze maaso n'okubanga akoona ku ssente emiliyoni 10 ezigambibwa okuba nti zaawebwa ababaka ba parliament especially abali ku ludda olwa government weewaawo n'abamu ku abo abali ku ludda olwabula government. Kakati bino we byatandika okubanga bitambula ababaka okuva mu NRM bagenda maaso n'okuba nti munnanga abamu bagamba nti tebafuna sente era nga ne speaker deputy speaker parliament Thomas Tayebwa naye yagenda maaso n'okubanga akakasa nga agamba nti tannaba kubanga afuna yadde 10 era n'ategeeza nti oyo yenna alina essente ze yalibadde azimuwa mu bwangu n'abanga ate naye weewaawo azeekwata. Wabula ebyo nga bikyali bityo omukulembeze w'eggwanga yagenda maaso n'okubanga afulumya ekiwandiiko weewaawo ekikakasa nti ssente zino ezaweebwa abakulu abo naga nti munnange mwe muba mufune ssente okuva mu mawanga g'ebweru zemufuna ezijja kuneeno okubanga zikola ebikolwa ebitali birungi mwenga tetubagambako. Wabula omukulu Joel Ssenyonyi yamwanukudde n'agamba nti bwobanga ogamba nti twafuna essente ezo walibadde oleeta obukakafu obulumika essente ezo zoga nti tuzifuna mu makubo makyamu. Naye ate mu kwogerako kuno eri bannamawulire yalambise n'agamba nti waliwo ababaka oba oli awo abatannaba kubanga bateeka emikono ate ku list eyo munnange ewakanya oba n'okugamba nti bano tebafunanga ku ssente ezo emiliyoni 10 era nga list eno nga bwe nkugamba nti eriko ababaka 72 ababaka 37 be batannaba kubanga bateekako emikono. Nagenze kubanga mpita ayita mu list okwongera okwetegereza amannya agali ku list eyo nendabamu ababaka okuva mu NUP era nga bano basingako obungi kuliko ababaka okuva mu Forum for Democratic Change ababaka okuva mu Democratic Party nalabeko Honorable Basman basalirwa okuva mu Jema. So bebamu ku babaka abataddeko amanya ku list eyo nagamba nti naye bwobanga watadde amanya ku list eno ngogamba ntofunanga ssente zino munnange ne bavaayo ne bakulumika nti ssente zino wazifuna ojja kubanga ate onnyonnyola bannayuganda bajja kubaako ebyokunnyonnyola bingi eri ate bannayuganda. So bw'atyo bwe yagenze maaso n'okubanga ayogera ate ku nsonga eno. So n'akubiriza ne banne babaka banne abali mu NRM okubanga ate bavaayo ne balonkoma abo bebateebereza okuba nti baafuna ku nsimbi zino emiliyoni 10. Olukuŋŋaana oba okwogera kuno kwe yabaddeko eri bannamawulire kwabaddemu ababaka abali ku ludda olwabula gavumenti ab'enjawulo era nga munnange bw'atyo bwe yagenze maaso n'okubanga alambika. Ekibiina ki NRM olunaku olweggulo bagenze maaso n'okubanga bafulumya election roadmap gye bagenda okubanga batambulirako mu kiseera ekyokulondera nga roadmap eno bo bategeeza nti bamaze dda okubanga bakakasa munnange abalonzi baabwe nga bwe bawerera ddala emiliyoni 19 n'omusobo. So bano nga bagamba nti wano waliwo enkulaakulana y'amaanyi bw'otunuulira mwaka gwa 2020 we baalina abalonzi emiliyoni 11 n'okusobamu katonotono awo. Bano nno balagira ddala nti kakati wabaddewo mobilization ey'amaanyi era nga myuka ateekerateekera NRM omukyala Rose Namayanja bw'atyo bwe yakakasiza nti mobilization ebadde y'amaanyi nnyo okulaba nti bongera obuwagizi bw'ekibiina ki NRM mu bitundu by'eggwanga eby'enjawulo era nga kino nti kye kibasobozesezza okulaba nti batuuka ku nnamba eno ate ey'abo be bakakasa okubanga bali mu register yaabwe ey'okulonda. Bw'ojjukira mu kalulu k'okuddibwamu akakawempe North bano baategeeza nti emitwalo 20 mu kitundu ekyo bali bamaze okubanga bagikakasa eja NRM naye ate bwe byagenda okubanga bivayo results electoral commissions yasoma zaalaga nti munnange bano baafuna obululu 8 koka. Kino nno kireetera ne bannabyabufuzi ab'enjawulo kubanga bakuba ebituli ate mu nnamba eno ey'abalonzi NRM gikakasa okubanga eyina. So okuno nno Red Map eno eyongera okulambika enteekateeka butya bwegenda okubanga etambula abeegwanyiza ate munnange ebifo by'obukulembeze ebyenjawulo bagenda kubanga balondebwa mu mwezi ogw'omukaaga naye balinayo n'ettabamiruka. So ttabamiruka ono wanaabanga atudde bingi nnyo ebigenda okubanga bisalibwawo wanaagenda bakwatira bendera mu kalulu ka bonna ka 2026 wabula ebisale ebiweebwayo ate no munnange okulaba nti ovuganya ku bifo ate ebyenjawulo ng'ekyomukulembeze w'eggwanga emiliyoni 20 biddu abo bonna abagala ebifo bya MP mu bitundu by'eggwanga ebyenjawulo ojja kubanga osasula emiliyoni 3 obwa Lord Mayor miliyoni 1.5 abakansala b'ebibuga emitwalo ate egiwerera ddala 50 gino gye weetaaga okubanga osasula okulaba nti oweebwa kaada mu kibiina ki NRM. So nga ate munnange bo basentebe bazi district miliyoni 1 bakansala bazi district mitwalo 2 so nga ate bo basentebe b'ebyalo ojja kubanga osasula omutwalo gumu. Abamu ku banna NRM bagamba nti sente zino mpitirivu nnyo eziringa ezibalemesa okulaba nti nabo ate no munnange benyigira mu nsonga munnange ez'okubanga besimbawo ku bifo oba ku mitendera egy'enjawulo nga bakozesa ate no munnange card z'ekibiina ki NRM. So ebyo nno bwe bito bibiri njagala updates zaffe mbe nga nziwunzika olw'ensonga nti n'omugenyi waffe amaze okubanga atwegatako naye nga sinawunzika ekibiina ki Democratic Party munnange nakyo kyagenze maaso n'okubanga ate kitegeeza nga bwe abantu bonna abagenda okubanga beesimbawo ku mitendera egy'enjawulo bwe beetaaga okubanga babadde mu bifo by'obukulembeze mu kibiina kino nti bw'obanga oyagala okwesimbawo nga secretary general w'ekibiina at least walibaddeko ekifo ky'obukulembeze ky'obaddemu ku mitendera egy'enjawulo. Mu kugera bino badde mu lukuŋŋaana lw'abannamawulire era nga munnange bwe batyo bwe bagenze maaso n'okubanga balambika ensonga zaabwe nti waliwo obukwakkulizo obuteereddwawo okulaba nti munnange abo bonna abeegwanyiza ebifo by'obukulembeze mu kibiina ekyo ate bagenda maaso n'okubanga munnange bavaayo ate ne beesimbawo kale ne babanga batwala ekibiina kino mu maaso. So bwe bumu ku bukwakkulizo ate bwe bagenze mu maaso n'okubanga bateekawo naye tugenda mu kuwumulamuko katono nnyo bwe tukomawo Mighty Drive yaffe egenda kubanga egenda maaso byesosobodde kubaamu update sitomanya akadde bwe kanaaba kansobozesezza bwe mba nkomyewo nja kubanga nnyongera okubibayisizaamu mpola mpola omuli n'ensonga y'ekitongole ki KCCA okubanga ate munnange kiwozesa abo abaasangibwa nga basaalimbira mu bimuli oba ne Paspalam mu kibuga Kampala nga bano batanzibwa engasi ya mitwalo 15 beddu. So katuwumulemuko katono nnyo Mighty Drive yaffe ebenga ekomawo tube nga tweyongerayo n'okubanga tukuweereza.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
But at the church,
Tawali man, what's up?
man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanye now, do you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly, because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
Hi, Rogers. Can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
But at the church,
Tawali man, what's up?
man, can you imagine people just dump
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
nkwaniriza ate mu kaseera kano program ya Mighty Drive era nga nze Omumbejja Luwedde Lilian mu studios negatiddwako omugenyi wange olunaku olwaleero. Ekyesanyu nti ono nno mukyala, so buli wembeera n'omukyala mu studio mbaako kyenjiga, mbaako vibe jemba naye ate ey'enjawulo bwe banga akyaziza omugenyi ate nga munnange mukyala. So omukyala Gift Nakayinga yali mu studios olunaku olwaleero. Omukyala ono expert era nga tugenda kubanga tutunuulira ensonga za mental health oba ensonga ezokulaba nti obwongo bwaffe buli mu mbeera ennungi. Bw'otunuulira olunaku lwa mental health lukuzibwa buli ng'ennaku z'omwezi 10 omwezi ogwa October buli mwaka. So ne last year ebijaguzo byaliwo mu nsi yonna ng'ennaku z'omwezi 10 omwezi ogw'ekkumi era nga omulamwa gwatambulira nnyo ku kulaba nti mental health mu bifo byaffe gye tukolera oba mu bitundu gye tukolera mu bifo byo gye tukakkalabiza emirimu gyaffe. Ekyebuuzibwa gy'okolera you mentally okay. Environment eriwo ekuwa amaanyi okusigala ng'okola aba ekuwa amaanyi okusigala nga ate performing duties zeweetaaga okubanga operforminga. So tugenda kuba tutambulira ku nsonga ezo. Mateeka ki ageetaaga okubanga gateekebwa mu nkola okulaba nti ensonga ya mental health ate no munnange ebanga erinnyibwa ku nfeete. Bw'otunuulira eggwanga lyattu Uganda nga bwe ntandise nga nkugamba nti lyerimu ku mawanga mu Africa ate agalimu obuzibu buno. Bwe tuba nga tusoma amannya 6 mu mawanga aga Africa agalimu obuzibu obwa mental health, Uganda lyerimu kwago amawanga. So saagala ate nandage nnyo omugenyi wange yamaze dda okubanga akkalira kansooke mwanirize oluvannyuma tube nga ate tutandikirawo discussion yaffe ey'olunaku olwaleero. Nsanyusa okukulaba amakya gano.
Nange okusanga.
Weebale kuuma budde kikulu nnyo mu kakyo kano ketulimu, but welcome to the Mighty Drive.
Thank you.
Say hello to our viewers.
Good morning, our dear viewers, each and every one of you that is watching this platform, Dig Talk.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for being passionate about mental health. I believe most of you, that is why you're here.
Yes,
But
yes.
thank you so much. It's really important and paramount in this generation that we take care of our mental health.
That we are mentally okay. Omanyi tutambula mu nsi muno and you find someone acting weird or doing things weirdly naye nga ate tetumanyi obuzibu buli luddawa nga they are not mentally okay naye nga ate ffe tubiwadde nnyo maanyi oluusi tetupayingako attention abamu bagamba ono yeekoza ono ali bwati ne bwati, but also as a country there is a lot that needs to be done. So olunaku lwaleero ensonga za mental health, but before we dive into that topical discussion tugenda kuba tuwulira okuva gyali. Who is she? What does she do? Era yongere okubanga tumutegeera bulungi nnyo eri gwe omulabi osobole okumanya nti omuntu agenda okunsomesa oba omuntu agenda okumpa bulamu kino ate ayimiridde bwati ne bwati.
Okay, thank you so much once again. Amanya bampita Gift Nakayinga nga ndi musawo mu bya mental health.
Wow.
Yes. And I think my background is in psychiatric nursing.
Okay.
Though I really wanted to advance more and more, and I wanted so much to do chemical dependence and addiction. So I wanted to
advance. Ngo takolinga bana bakozesa ebiragalalagala.
Abakozesa ebiragalalagala. Oba abaina addictions ez'enjawulo. Addictions ez'enjawulo. So of course addictions tulowooza ku biragalalagala, but there is more to that. You can be addicted to anything. You can be addicted to food, to your phone, to sleeping, to anything. So any kind of addiction. Drugs, anything.
Owafuuda oyo aba alya nnyo, ayagala nnyo emmere, abeera abadde ki?
Era buba bulwadde olumu tekuba kwagala nnyo, so sometimes oyinza olowooza omuntu ekintu akyagala bwagaze, but yet in actual sense there is a disorder behind like what she does or what he does. So sometimes there is a disorder behind what we think it's either a hobby or it's a want. For example, if someone says that I like sleeping, you need to be sure, is it that you like the sleeping or there is something behind the sleeping?
Okay, so ndowooza tuli ku peesi y'emu gwe ayagala okubanga weetaaga okumanya ku nsonga za mental health. Ayina omuntu gw'olaba nti yeetaaga okubanga discussion eno agigoberera bulungi nnyo. Nsaba omusindikire link ku page zaffe The Alternative Uganda ne TikTok TV. Woba oteeka comment tekawo ekibuuzo kyo kalink ka sharing. Baako omuntu gw'otegeeza naye amanyi. Omwezi ogwokutaano ndowooza gwe mwezi gwe tukolera awareness ennyo ku nsonga ya mental health. Naye ate ogw'ekkumi mwe muli olunaku lwe tujaguza ku nsonga ya mental health oba World Mental Health Day. mu mwezi ogw'ekkumi. So let's use this platform okulaba nga ate tubaako omuntu oyo gwe tuyamba oba gwe tutaakiriza oba ate no munnange gwe tuwabula ku nsonga eno eya mental health. Awo wennyini nga bw'atubuulidde nti musawo, so kitegeeza expert mu nsonga zino oba ebintu bino abimanyi. Naye njagala nkuzeeyoko ku bulamu bwo. Lwaki wasalawo okulaba nti osoma bintu bikwatagana na bwongo? Lwaki wakola koosi gye wakola ey'okubeera psychiatrist?
Sijagamba nti nagironda.
Okay.
Saagironda. Nali sigimanyi. Naye it so happened that you know, like usually after S6 you wait for
results,
for the results, and then if whether you've gotten either your first choice or second choice, depending. I think my passion was into engineering.
Oh
yes,
sitera nnyo okuwulira bakyala basaba koose naye at least nfunye omukisa n'enkuwulira nga kyewali oyagala.
My passion was in engineering, but it so happened that when the results came back, the first choice yange, because initially I'd done PCM, physics, chemistry and math, so I really wanted to go into engineering. So when the results came back, I didn't get the you know, like the government sponsorship for those courses, because they are a bit expensive. So it so happened that of course you have to go in for private, you have to go and apply and get a private, you know, course, like do it on private. So when I went, I applied and I was given biomedical engineering, and my mom says after I'd gotten the papers, she's like, "Ebyo sibimanyi."
Simanyi nakyo ogenda kubanga okola.
Sibimanyi. Tabiwulirangako tabimanyi.
Okay.
So in my head I'm like, okay, so what do you know? She's like, "Manyi busawo." For her she knew busawo. So,
Mami musawo.
No, she's not, but she had so many of her friends in Gabasawo, like her clients in Gabasawo, so she only knew Busawo. So anyway, fast forward, I was given on government for psychiatric nursing.
Oyingidde koosi ogisomye naawe obadde togimanyiiko saawa zino wetuli olunaku olwaleero.
So when natandika ogisoma, my very first year, byali tebinyuma. It took me really forever. It took me forever to adjust to knowing that there is that other part of life. There is those other kinds of people. Nti waliyo abantu nga bayina embeera ze bayitamu ezitali that it's physical, nti kiwundu okiraba.
Yes.
It's not a physical condition. Si musujja nti the next 1 week gugenda kuwona. And I realized that I reached the hospital nendabanga abantu bakugamba onamazewo emyaka bwegiti ebutabika, onamazewo bbanga bweriti, ono bweti, ono nabe waabwe bamugana, ono, like I saw all sorts of things olw'embeera gyalimu. So it was really scary, very scary, because I remember first semester bwe twaddayo mu luwummula naddayo ne mugamba, but at that point I felt like I wasn't even thinking, I wasn't reasoning well, because it was too scary for the first time. My first time to go to okugenda mu ddwaliro, omanyi tugenda marwaliro, so my first allocation into Butabika, I even blacked out mu balwadde nenzirika.
Nga kyosanzeeyo si kyobadde osuubira.
So nali ku wodi y'abakyala, and I saw all these kinds of women nga bali mu mbeera that I could never imagine a human being can be in. I could ever imagine that a human being can maybe move without clothes, like eat dirty things, like do things like anyhow it is. So it was really so bad that I think in my head I could not comprehend the whole environment, and even them saying a lot of words here and there, a lot of good and the bad words. Very aggressive. I blacked out. But I remember when I did ngulunga mazo kuzirika, omu ku balwadde n'agamba ako twakalabye nga kalina okuzirika tekasobola wano. Yeah, it was a bad experience, but later, I think I enjoyed it. Later.
At a later stage.
Later, even after I'd finished school.
What?
Later. Yeah, because when I finished school, I'd even gotten a job, and I told my mom, I think I've gotten a job. So after school, I'm just going to go and start working. And then she said, togenda genda. Komwewako umule obwongo bwo bwetaaga okuddamu okutereera. So at that point sakitegeera kyali ategeeza nti obwongo bwetaaga okuddamu okutereera, but I realized for the years I was in Butabika, I almost, for some reason, I think I'd detached a bit. I think I needed some kind of therapy for me to comprehend life the other way.
Okay.
Yes, so I didn't even start working then.
In what you're saying, with jam discussion yo, oyogera nnyo ku maama. Kansooke mbuuze maama naye yakola kosi ye muje wakola, because engeri gy'akugaidinzemu nti sooka okomewo ewaka weetaaga okuwummulamu oba weetaaga okuwummuza ku bwongo. It so happens nti at least alinga alina ky'amanyi ku kosi gye wakola.
Se kuba nti alina ky'amanyi, but it's not only my mother. I think almost everyone, naawe mwennyini bw'olowooza ku Butabika, bw'olowooza ku muntu alina ekizibu ku bwongo, you get scared. So just imagine omuntu ng'ababaddemu for the so many years.
N'akyuka there and then.
No, in your head you're thinking, alabika naye tali bulungi, like maybe they've gone through a lot.
Environment gy'abaddemu yemuleetedde kino na kino.
Ne bwaba tokiraba nti akifunye, in your head you're thinking, are they okay? Are they, like, is everything okay and all that? So I think it's the mindset that we have in the community, that anyone in Butabika, like either a patient, the medics and all that, you might thinking, oh, they're almost like the same. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the organization that you have. Your ejeta into place over in the Network of Africa Mental Health Advocates. Your ejeta into place. What took out to
like I said, it chantwalire banga to embrace mental health, and actually I even switched careers.
Oh.
Yes, I switched. I left it. I went into clinical. I left clinical. I went into public health. Like I switched. I switched completely. I did switch, but later I felt like I was compelled. It was like kind of a conviction, and I'm like, but this is where I belong. Like, this is my passion. Mental health is my passion. Even when I try to run away from it, I realized that now, living Butabika and then coming back into the community, gendo was ewali abantu abalamu, I realized they are not also So that's how I ended up picking it up, and I'm like, I think now we do not only need to have mental health in a mental setting, in a mental hospital, but we need mental health in communities. So that's how we came up with the network of the African Mental Health Advocates.
So, mujitandika ddi?
Well, it yatandika mu 2013.
Myaka 10 n'omusobyo.
Sorry, no, 2023.
Oh,
2023.
Okay.
That is like last year but one. And eyagitandika one of our presidents, Dr. Martin. It's because he had gotten a challenge with also his mental health. So it was out of experience of how he suffered with mental health issues that he was like, actually, I think we need this kind of network that can bring together all the different people that are into mental health across Africa. Oh. Yes.
Okay. So that's when he starts this umbrella, Bagata Mwina Mwina.
Yes, that's when he started it, Etugata Fena Fena, and though, of course, later on, we got in another president that is on now, Dr. Joshua.
Okay.
And, but we have different leaders in the different countries of Africa. We have, of course, now we have one president who is in Uganda, Dr. Joshua now, and then me in
the vice president.
The vice president for East Africa, but for East Africa we are two, because East Africa we have like Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda and Burundi. So the vice presidents for East Africa we are two, me and someone called Catherine in Kenya. Then we have South Africa, we have leaders from South Africa. Then we have West Africa and Nigeria. That is Bridget. We have different, so we have like 4 vice presidents from South Africa, West Africa, and then East Africa. And then we have other members on the team, the coordinators, the publicity, the secretary from different countries.
It's actually something big. Do you have offices?
Apparently not yet, but we are working on it.
Offices.
Yes, here in Uganda.
Okay. So what exactly do you do? Because oliwa a network of African mental health advocates. Ntandikira kuddukira mu bannamateeka awo oba ate nenvaayo nendaba ate abantu like abadvocatingira okulaba nti mental health nakyo kitwalibwa ng'ebintu ebikulu mu ggwanga. What exactly do you do?
So one of the things that we do is, of course, awareness and sensitization. If you see, I think we've had many, tubadde ne ba advocates. I'm an advocate for this, I'm an advocate for this. And we've also had people that are advocates for mental health. So we wanted to have that umbrella that can bring those people together from the different walks of life, because most of them that come up as, of course, they are not professionals, but maybe they are advocates. Some of them it's out of experience. It's that they have experienced certain mental issues and they took a toll on them. Now they want to come out and speak about them. Now they want to tell the public that actually mental health is important. It's been underrated, it's been underlooked, it's been this and this and that, but it is very, very key and important. So I think that's where we come in to do a lot of awareness and sensitization about mental issues. And this cuts across from communities, families, government, like the policymakers and all that, putting them together and show them that, yes, we need to do something about this.
About mental health.
About mental health.
So far mu Uganda, mukoze outreaches enkanaki, mutuseeko mu masomero, mu malwaliro, in Uganda in particular?
Apparently in Uganda, I think we've done like 3 outreaches, like 3, but we've had more of the trainings like online. Yes, and we've had this because now we're having people in the different parts of the country, and we also have now people from the US joining us onto the team. So we've been doing a lot of online programs, connecting to other people almost in across Africa and also out of Africa.
That is something big, and the dream also seems to be big. Vision chimwe jemulina oba jemulaba oba jemwateeka mu oba jemuteeka mu nkola okulaba nti ensonga ya mental health tugirinya konfete.
The dream would be, we of course we would give estimates nga WHO Wesolovaayo negamba by 2030.
Yes,
this condition we should have 0 cases of ABCD. But I think our dream is, or our vision is that each and every one of us, like from the list we should say a baby who has not even started talking, their mental health is taken as a top priority. And that would come out after us understanding so well what mental health is. It is about the positives and the negatives around it. So basically we've not given it that maybe by this year, but we want to see us having almost everyone in the entire world have the knowledge about mental health. As a person, a community, an organization, like family, because like in all those areas, mental health is everywhere.
Bwe njagala okubateeka mu ministry, njabateeka mu ministry ya byabulamu. Muginvolvinze mu ngeri gye mukolamu emirimu gyammwe okulaba nti hey, mental health wano wetutuusizza ng'eggwanga, and this is what needs to be done.
Involving a Minister of Health, we still having discussions with different stakeholders to make sure that they come on board in support of this network and the activities of the network. But for now, we are still having talks with the parliament forum for like the one that does mental health and the different associations that are into mental health. Then after coming to agreement on how we're going to work together, then we want to involve the Ministry of Health and see.
So let's go into the mental health thing. One would wonder what is mental health. Tukiwulira kyogerwa mu Luzungu, ndwadde za bwongo, of course boleetamu endwadde z'obwongo, balowoleza mu bantu abalalu, balowoleza mu bantu like abavuddeko mu ngeri emu oba endala. In brief, oba in summary, oba mu lulimi olufuutifuuti ng'okimenyeemenye, omuntu asembera ddala w'asobola okukitegeerera. Mental health kitegeeza ki?
Mental health, ngenda gezaako kimenyaamenya mu Luganda. Mental health si bulwadde. If we're talking about mental health, it's healthy. It's still healthy.
Nenga ya bwongo.
No, like you're still healthy. Ochali bulungi. If we say mental health, like it is. Because now botunulira health as health, tugamba it's a state of the complete well-being of a person in every aspect of life, mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, socially, spiritually, and nowadays they add on financially. Yeah, so that is a state of complete. But now bwetugamba mental health obeera kati otandise ekigambo health oba otandise okimenyaamenyaamu. Now you want to tackle the mental aspect, the brain, like you want to tackle the mental aspect yokka. So it is someone being completely well, mentally completely well. That is mental health. Naye bwe tugamba mental disorder or mental illness, so that means omuntu avudde embulamu agenze to the extreme.
Awo kati obulwadde bwe bujjiramu.
Obulwadde bwe bujjiramu.
Naye bwe twogera mental health,
so bwe tugamba mental health, tubanga abakugamba nti of course you have to be mentally healthy, you have to be okay. But when it gets out of hand, that's when you come up with a illness or a disorder. So when we say mental health, taking care of our mental health, we want to avoid getting to the illness or the disorder.
Oh.
Yes.
So bulijjo tukibuzaabuza tukitaputa bubi. Bwe twogera mental health tuba tuddukiddewo paka ku bulwadde ku disorders ezo.
Tuba tetunatuukayo.
In Uganda bw'otunuulira embeera nga bw'eri kati, obuzibu gw'olowooza buli ki obuleetedde abantu okufuna issues mentally, okufuna disorders ezo ezibatawaanya ku bwongo, obuzibu buvudde luddawa?
Obuzibu obuleeta omuntu okufuna obuzibu ku bwongo bingi, bintu bingi. Kyova olaba olumu tugamba in medical we say that it's idiopathic, like the cause is unknown because it's complex, ogatta ebintu bingi. Naye ngenda gezaako obimenyaamenyaamu nti tuyina factors ez'enjawulo. Tuyina factors bakiyita obuzaale, the biological, hereditary factors or genetics. Genetics is what? Yeah,
obusikidde okuva ku jjajja oba kojja.
Yeah, tuyina ezo factors eziri genetical, then tuyina eziri biological or biochemical, like because like emibiri gyaffe girina chemicals ez'enjawulo.
Zizimu ziva mu mmere.
So ezo chemicals zetuyina already ziyambako omubiri okufunctioninga, and zirina okuba nga ziri regulated a certain way. Zirina okuba nga bonagamba nti enesimu bwengikyajinga erina koma kwa 100%. Bwesukkawo it's a problem. Ate ne bwebeera nga like tejula, it's also a problem. So ezo chemicals zetuyina nazo ziyina like level kwe zirina okukolera nti bwezisukkawo things can get out of hand. Ate ne bwezikendera things can get out of hand. So that is also there, though it's hard to explain it to a person. So tuziyita usually neurotransmitters. Olumu I think abantu bawulirako nnyo when we talk about dopamine. I don't know, dopamine, certain, like those ones, they're just chemicals in our body that when they increase a lot, they can trigger a mental illness. If they decrease still, they can trigger a mental illness. And usually the mental illnesses that are around there, depression, those ones. Depression, chemical, bwebange eri waggulu, someone is like this. We're very once, someone is like this. So there is that part. Then we have the social factors.
Yeah.
The social factors, of course, stress. Tuinamu stress, tuinamu abuse, tuinamu. It's a whole lot of things. It can take a toll on you. Breakups in relationships, like anything that can take a toll, it can trigger a mental illness. But it can only trigger when also the other factors are into play. Because now just imagine we are different people. Tuli bantu banjawulo.
Yes.
Bwengeri jo managingamu ebikutawanya, it might not be the same way. You might be the kind of person into goli mugumu, you don't easily break down. But there are some of us and it's easier to really break down.
Yes.
You don't need to do so much for us to break down. Then
katono nnyo oba wa breaking zedda.
Katono nnyo oba wavuddeko oba wachaka. Even someone saying something, it's enough for you to get messed up. We have other causes like substance use and drugs. Nowadays, of course, that is very rampant. Abantu bakozesa nnyo ebiragalalagala. Abantu bakozesa nnyo even the drugs that are made to treat certain health conditions. Abantu baza abusinga.
Awo wenyini tugenda kubanga tuwogerawo mu maaso awo. Zo drugs abantu baza abusinga batya.
Tugenda kubatogerawo. So we have the part of like drugs, of course alcohol, omwenge kati mungi ennaku zino, sigala mungi, the different chemicals, abantu banusa amafuta, the shisha, the cocaine, there's so many things. So ebyo byonna bisobola okuleetera omuntu okufuna obuzibu ku bwongo. Then tuyina kye tuyita personality.
Otyo?
What we call personality.
Ekikula ky'omuntu.
Ekikula ky'omuntu nga gwe teweetaaga stress already ekikula kyo kikuteeka ku what at a risk like kisobola okuleetera okufuna mental illness. Yeah? Ekikula kyo. So twakolebwa nga tuli bantu banjawulo with different personalities.
Yes.
There is twina bye tuyita temperaments. Oleja kugamba nze ndi sanguine, I'm a colic, I'm a melancholic and all that. Those are just temperaments.
Tuli mu lulimi nange lwendi mu kuyiga.
Okay, those are just temperaments.
Because kati ate abo bonnyonnyodde awo ate abo bo tubatuukako tutya basankolini.
Kati abo.
Yes.
Those are abo ebyo bikula kati nga gwe boli oyina temperament yo. Okay, let me give another example. Tuwuliddeko nga bagamba extrovert, introvert.
Yes,
you've heard
ambivert n'abalala.
Ambivert.
Yes.
Nti bwemba extroverts we know they are these outgoing people, they are, you know, like
vibe webeera abeera okay.
But vibe. And then the introverts are the opposite of the extroverts. Then we have the ambiverts.
Ali eno n'eno.
Ambiverts yabeeno n'eno.
Alinnya wabiri. Alina character eno naba ne
character eno. Then we have the temperaments eziri nti ndi sanguine, ndi colic, ndi melancholic. Oba ndi sanguine, colic, oba phlegmatic this. So those ones are temperaments. Of course, I don't want to break them down because I want us to go into, but it's very important. Chikulu nnyo omuntu okumanya temperament ye. So nsaba buli atulaba akoleko research ku temperament ye. Kubanga bw'omanya nti ndi sanguine, oyiga bw'odiringa n'abantu. Oyiga bw'odiringa n'ono ali melancholic. Oyiga bodiringa n'omuntu ali colic. Even if it's a work setting, omanya boss wange colic. Ba colic bali bwe bati ne bwe bati, maybe they are go-getters, they are this and this and this and this. Omanya nti boss
sonze ku kintu tebamujjaawo. Gwamujjaawo otawaanya obwongo. Kati
gwotawaana ate naye n'atawaana. So if we learn those, kituyambako okukolagana n'abantu. Than being complaining atono ali bwati atono kino. Anyway, so I was saying the personalities, twina personalities ezenjawulo.
Yes.
Kati ziri zibadde temperaments. Personalities twina abantu nga already ina anxious personality. Anxious is anxiety. Okay. Ye abanchi etabuti
wewe mbanga ngezezza nti omuntu ono boba wamugambye olina kyogenda omuwa ku ssaawa 6 aba akirindirira 6 ogwo bwe gutuukira aba yalinze dda ate bw'osukkawo oba n'omuwanga ku 8 oba okyonoonya abeera anxious abeera alindiridde
abo. So waliwo abo abantu nga ye kyekikula kye bw'atyo Mukama we yamukola. Then ne wabeerawo abantu nga ye ali paranoid. Paranoid be bantu abeekengera buli ssaawa.
They have trust issues.
something like that. They are suspicious.
Abaera awo ng'asuubira kibi kyokka kubaawo.
Like tamala geesiga ye muntu gw'osanga nti ye juice amunywa mu kifo kimu tanywa buli wamu abala atabeesiga. Emmere agirya mu hoteeri emu muntu omu yalina omusavinga. You don't just touch, like they are always suspicious about anything and everyone. Nga ye kyekikula kye, they don't just trust people. Then there are those that are dependent people, dependent personality. Nga ye tasobola kubeerawo ku lulwe.
Yeesalirawo nyina okulinda gwe gift kyosazeewo nze kye ŋŋenda nakyo ŋŋendera mu bangi ye teyesa talina that independent mind. Then we have people that are hysterical. They have an hysterical personality. I think tukizanyira mbuzanyiza tugamba yalina hysteria. It's like it's a joke but yet it's very serious. Then tulina abantu abalina obsessive personality. I think we've overheard people say Ali obsessed disorder.
So abantu abaina an obsessive personality nga ye they can easily get obsessed with something, and we get obsessed with so many different things. Osobola okubeera obsessed with loving a person, you can get obsessed with a phone, obsessed with sex, obsessed with anything. But
someone who is obsessed is different from someone who is addicted. Oba baagala okufaanaganamu at a certain point.
They are different.
No.
They are different.
Okay.
So, and so many other personalities. But if you look at all those personalities, so as a personality already tuziri. So, omuntu alina personality, depending on which personality they have.
Yes.
Bwe baba nga bali exposed, bwe baba nga bali stretched to the extreme of their personality, they can easily get a disorder.
Okay.
I'll give an example. If I have an obsessive personality, and my obsessive personality, for example, I'm obsessed with order. I want to see things that are in order, cleanliness. So if you stretch me to the extreme of that and you want to push me to out of what I know or out of what I'm obsessed with, ogenda kundetera okufuna what we call the obsessive compulsive, that disorder itself.
Okay.
Yes. So bino ebintu causes ez'enjawulo zituleetera okubanga tugenda into the illness. Nenga biri already muffe. Biri muffe.
Waliwo akitugarinze, waliwo akoze ekintu kye mu kikula kyange kyesiina kukola oba kyesiina kwogera oba kubeera.
Thank you. Ate nga tulina okuyiga okurelatinga n'abantu bonna n'okubeera n'abantu bonna. Kati kiri kye nkugambye nti buli muntu alina okumanya kiki ekisobola okuleetera mental health y'omuntu okutawaana, to make them end up having a disorder. You get it? Nina okumanya nti omuntu akozesa ebiragala, what are the extremities?
Okay.
You get it? Nina okumanya nti omuntu ali traumatized. People have been traumatized. People have been in accidents. People have seen bad things happen to them.
Yes.
Kati omuntu ngoyo, how far am I meant to go with them? That's why it's important also know people that you're dealing with, such that you don't take their mental health at the extreme. So those are some of the causes. So environmental, the social factors, n'ekikula ky'omuntu, upbringing and experiences. Mental health yo yanjawulo n'omuntu abadde maje. You guys like, because byosinkanye, you've met a bit of a soft life. For them, it's war. It is different. You get it? Kati obwongo bw'oyo omuntu si bwe bumu n'obwongo bwo. Yeah? You get it? So I think we need to treat people
ng'otegedde n'ekikula kye, olumu ng'otegedde byayiseemu oba naye byoyiseemu. I would give an example. I would use an example of relationships. Yes.
Abantu baba relatinga, they usually do a kind of an inventory. Bebuuza ebibuuzo, ewakulota, oyagala ki, ewamwe yewa. But in other life, we don't do that. Wali obuzizaako ku mukama wo byayagala ne byatayagala?
Nedda.
Have you ever had that discussion? Do you know the triggers, what triggers him and what doesn't trigger him? You don't know. But yet it's important. So I'm like, singa nga bwe tubikola mu relationships, singa bwe tubikola n'embulamu bwa bulijjo nti kati
tebangobyeko mulimu olowooza
tebagenda kugo.
Shortly, katsoke tu breaking em katono nnyo. Bwe tukomawo oyongere otubuulira issues ezireetedde kati abavubuka ssaawa zino okuba nti balinga abeevaako. I heard people saying this is a sad generation. Erimu abantu bangi nnyo abakozesa ebiragalalagala. Erimu abantu bangi nnyo abalinga abaluzinze focus over direction. What actually needs to be done? What does the government have to do when it comes to this? Abaffe government biki byetaaga okuba nga etereeza mu kulaba nti omuntu naye abeera mu ggwanga lyattu oba mu nsi ye ng'alina emirembe nga yeeyagala. Ozibuliddwa bwe tutaaga okuba nga tutereeza ensonga y'olwaleero oba topic y'olunaku olwaleero tutunira mental health. Nga bw'okwata omusimbi oba nga bw'oteeka amaanyi mu kunoonya ssente, bw'olina okuteeka amaanyi mu kulaba nti embeera ye ey'obwongo etambula bulungi oba eri mu mbeera nnungi. So let's break shortly. It's still the Mighty Drive. Tukomawo katono nnyo temuvaawo.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi, Rogers. Can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes, it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be normal.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. Tukyagenda maaso n'okulaba nga tutunuulira ensonga ya mental health, okulaba nti obwongo bwaffe buli mu mbeera eyeeyagaza. Tunnyonnyolera tugamba nti bwe twogera ku mental health, mundangire tutegeeza nti olina obuzibu. Wabula kwe kulaba nti oli mu mbeera eyeeyagaza oba oli bulungi. Naye ate bwe bakunyigiriza ennyo oluusi otuuka n'ova mu mbeera kyekyo tulinaga nti bane bamunyigiriza ennyiro bw'oginyigiriza ennyo ereeta omusaayi so bamunyigiriza nnyo okutuuka ku ekyo kyatasobola kuhandolinga oluusi n'avaako oba oluusi neyeeyisa mu mbeera oba oli awo etategeerekeka nti ekintu kino kituukawo nnyo tosobola kukwata ku bwongo noga nti obwongo mbukutteko bubuno bunnuma no naye moods ezo zikyuka. We have people abalina mood swings. Tulinamu abantu abakyayina ensonga ezabatawanya nga baana bato nga bazikuliddemu abamu ne batahiiringa abamu ne batafuna therapies ez'okulaba nti bayambibwa. So we are using this platform okulaba nti tukutuukako gwe gy'oli omanye embeera mw'oli nga bw'atunyonyodde mu ssaawa yaffe esoose nti mulimu abantu abalina ekikula nga ye bw'okola ekintu ekimu ate kimuggyako. Mulimu abantu nga ekikula kye tayagala muleekaanira oba tayagala kubeera awantu wawoggana. Mulimu abantu nga tayagala muntu tayagala muntu ayomba kwegamba it's about understanding our personalities ono omuntu ali ate ono omuntu ekikula kye kiri kitya. If we get to understand that tujja kusobola okukola nitubeera mu society nga ate tetunyigiriza balala naye nga ate n'abantu abo tebatunyigiriza. Tuli ku nsonga za mental health. How do we go about all these issues because bw'owuliriza mu kunnyonnyola kwe ebintu ebimu biva mu mbeera mwe tubeera mu communities mwe tuwangalira mu societies mwe tuwangalira but how do we go about these things? Mu break tulina ekintu kye twogeddeko katono nnyo of letting go nti omuntu ayinza okunyiiza noga okay sagala kuyomba naye you just let go but as you let go there is a lot that piles up in your head. There is a lot that builds up newesanga ngo breaking it down just there and then without you realizing that. So it's mental health that we are talking about today. Era tugenda kuba tutunuulira amateeka agetaaga okuba nga gateekebwa mu nkola eri government okulaba nti ensonga ya mental health ate nayo tugikabinga but nga tugenda maaso ne discussion yaffe eno ey'olunaku olwaleero nga bw'oli expert oba nga bw'oli omusawo omukugu mu ndwadde ezitawaanya obwongo olwo tutandikidde ku mitendera ky'okumanya nti omuntu ono waliwo ekitali kituufu mu mbeera ze ez'obwongo stages ezo.
Okay. So mu kutandika twayogedde ku bireetera then tulina ebika eby'endwadde z'obwongo
otyo
ebyo ebika byanjawulo lwakuba nti abantu tutegedde nnyo ebika tutegedde nnyo depression it's out there. Depression, anxiety. Stress is not a mental disorder.
Hey. Tujisibayo busibi. I'm stressed ke kagamba kali kenakoze.
It's a cause.
Okay.
It's a cause. It can be an underlying cause, but it's not a mental disorder.
Okay.
So mental disorder tuina ze tuita mood disorders. Ngenda gezaako okubimenya mangu such that nsobola okudamu ekibuuza. Tuina kye tuita disorders eza mood disorders. Endwadde eza embeera mood. Nti olaba omuntu kati ali leero musanyufu the following minute munyivu. Mwezo tulinamu depression. Depression mu Luganda ekigambo oba kyekyo okunyikavu that. Yes. Depression. Yes. Then tulina ne kye tuyita mania.
Okay.
Kachova twagala tutandika bino ebintu obiga. Such that omanya omuntu gw'odiringa naye ali mu kiki kyalimu kubanga buli kyonna kyabalimu kikuwa enzijanjaba kikuwa engeri gy'omukwatamu okitegeera engeri gy'omukwatamu nga bwe tugamba nti omuntu waba wa musujja bwoti bw'okola waba wa sukaali tokola bwoti waba wa pressure.
Yes.
So nemuzi n'endwadde z'obwongo mpulira nga nandyagadde nga buli session omwamanyi bikaaki era omuntu like ndwadde kyezo era tumanya nti kati bwe buno bulwadde. So mwezi ezabundu nga tulina depression tulina mania tulina negatta gye tuyita bipolar nti omuntu abeera nga byonna birina omulundi ogwo
alina mania
ne depression. So depression kwe kubeera nga omuntu ali to the lowest of themselves. To the lowest. Yes. Then mania, it's someone being at the top.
Otyo.
Nga ina vibe je Twitter vibe.
Oh, but behind the vibe there is something. Or wachata yogero wachata.
Nga aina yengeje tuyinza okubyawula muti abeera hyper buli kimu kiba waggulu ennyo ye muntu bwaba mwana asobola okusombera ebidomola by'amazzi the whole day nga takoowa. like they are hyperactive yet atula wamu tasobola taterera. They are very restless, like they're one thing after the other.
Akola chiri.
If he's a man, the libido is so high, and of course no wonder nowadays we have a lot of like rape cases and all that. Of course, I'm not saying that but also that can lead to that. Then tuina the bipolar nti omuntu yaba kati zombi nga azina
ali waggulu ne wansi
ngabera waggulu ne wansi okanya kugamba ne ono lero musanyifu encha si musanyifu lero musanyifu encha si musanyifu. They are operating both of them. But of course, you can't diagnose. So of course, not until it's established by the medical workers that kati alimu echo. Yeah. Yes. Then tuina, I've talked about the personality traits.
Yes.
Tuina. Then we have the personality disorders. Ngazoza katinga omuntu wava personality nebelanga taken to the extreme. They get those disorders. Zetwogedde waba anxious personality ajafuna anxiety, waba obsessive,
restless,
like they can get the disorders. Then tuina sleep ezotulo disorders za sleep. Yeah, bano abogeranga bebase sleep talking, but sleep walking, like yebase na yatambula, like someone is in their sleep na yagenze ne munimiro
nenga yebase. We have night terrors, nightmares, ababalote birote byamaanyi nnyo, like those things. All those are sleep disorders. The insomnia, I think, and sometimes it really hurts me abantu zino mental issues okuzimaking a fun. Someone can be like, I just have a bit of insomnia, like just to say back. Thank you. And I just ninamka insomnia say back. And then in my head I'm like, and you're thinking that is cool, like it's fun that you have insomnia. I'm
just stressed. I'm just depressed. I'm just having a low mood. And yet it's too big. So twineza disorders otulo. Twina, of course, substance, drug and substance disorders. Nazo tuzinezo je ziri nyingi. Twina ze tuyita katina kwesa kino ekigambo psychosis. I think we've had people say onali psychotic. So psycho, thank you. That is the word that you people use.
Ono psycho embera zitezitegere kali weird.
Psycho. You use the word weirdo and psycho.
Yes.
That person is in a very bad shape.
Psycho.
That is a very disorder. It's not a personality. It's a disorder. That oyo muntu aina, one of the disorders that we know mulimu schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, okay, ye mutu okubanga ayina ze twita psychotic features, hallucinations bye bino mpulira amaloboozi, ndabe ebintu, like muli emmere yemu gwe n'owulira testinga bulala ye n'awuliramu birala, awulira ebintu bimutambula omubiri, like that is the hallucinations.
Yes.
Twina delusions. If you've been around school children, basobola okugamba no yepanka kati bo bakuyita kwepanka. If one of them comes and keeps bragging, fe tuli wetuti, fe era kino, era nze ne president mumanyi, era nze ndi mama wange sima muganda wagundi, like those kinds of things.
Yes.
Ninga si bituufu. Kati mama mugambo yo yesomanyo. Yesomanyo, but yet it's a delusion, like some of them it can be.
Okay, not in that manner, but of course tanga president omwina koluga.
You're having like it's kind of they're fantasizing, but they're having delusions. And we have different delusions. Ne paranoid personality.
Yes.
Someone can be that kind of person, but the delusions, delusions is a jealousy kati bogenda mbafumbo bo, they can experience that in omwagarawe aina obujja. So in your head you might think bujja wa bulijjo, yet it's more than that. We have like different delusions, of course, the grandiose and all that. So I think those are some of the things that I can break down. We have the anxiety disorders. Anxiety disorders mulimu panic, phobia, omuntu akugamba nze ntya heights, oba ntya ebiwuka, oba ntya amazzi, oba all those phobias. We have of course anxiety, regional. We have so many of them. I might not go into them. So ebyo byonna bw'omanya kyekiri kye nakugamba, it's very important okumanya omuntu. It's just because we don't get into depth. I feel like, okay, we want the government to come and like I personally, I want it to come on board. But I feel like before the government comes, what have I done as an individual? Like chichi kyenkoze okulaba nga neteeka mumbeera etanteeka mu katyabaga. I don't know whether I'm making sense. So waliwo ebintu ebiri basic ebintu nga okwemanya. The theme is invest in your mind like you do for your money. It's just unfortunate nti ennaku zino tetwagala kwemanya. Nti omuntu ne bw'akubuuza gwani, you don't know.
I am a complicated person.
Thank you. As simple as that.
Naye tategedde complicated mu mbeera ki?
Abantu abagaba emirimu, I feel like they get a hard time asking that question. Okubuuza omuntu gwani. Ofuna omuntu ngali 30 years, 40 years, 25, like they're adults, but they can't tell you who they are. You ask them what are your weaknesses and your strengths, they don't know. So how will you know? Abamu balimba. No, it's just because sometimes some of them really don't know. You know why we don't know? Because we keep always running away from our minds. Buli kaseera you want a distraction. You don't want this is the best the best distraction we can ever have. Nti tosobola kutuula awo wekka bw'oti.
Obeeraawo olowooze.
Not even for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. It's
without
hard.
being on phone.
You either use that, like you want to be distracted.
You want to see something.
You want to be.
Your mind is busy.
You want to be busy onto something. Yes. But not being busy like you're internalizing yourself. You want oyagala kumanya emotions. Chizowulira ngeri kijjozi responding ako. Nti tetulina obwo obudde, not even going through our days kugamba bwe nabadde ku mulimo bigambo ki bye nayogedde
era ani gwe nanyiizizza.
Not even ani gwe nanyiizizza, but you trying to evaluate yourself.
The day ogiyiseemu otya wawo wopangulukuse wawo wobadde, like tetulina obwo obudde. And how are we going to invest in these minds when we don't give time? Yensonga ki ojja kulaba abantu abagenda mu therapies or in for mental health sessions bajja kugamba start journaling, do deep reflection, meditate, exercise, and then you're thinking obudde bwemala nga ndi awo trying to meditate. You know, like why we don't, most of the reasons why we don't want, it's because tuyise ebintu bingi. Era mbadde ndanzizeewo ku meditation because I've practiced that. And then mba ncha meditating nga obwongo butambudde buzeeyo. Jembujja gye budda.
Gyobujja ze bujja kati ekyo tetukyagala.
Ate ekyo sikyakati awo nendaba mu film.
So now you get onto a distraction. So we keep getting distracted kati golaba mu film. Kati waliwo omulala nga ye the drug would be a quick option.
Yes.
Waliwo abantu nga bamanya nti tagenda kuba busy. Ajja na kwangu okuba n'ekiragalalagala awo mangu such that in case they have nothing to do. They have a distraction. So literally we want to live in we want to live in a masked life. Like you masking who you are all the time. You even yourself, you don't want to get in touch with who you are. And how do you expect someone else, your boss, your smart fiance, husband, and all, like your brother, your sister, to handle you? Nga nawe teweesobola.
Abamu tulwawo n'okumanya nti tetwesobola.
That's a challenge. So I feel like the work is in us. Of course, I'll ask the government to come. But before the government comes, the work is in us. I've already said that I have a lot of passion for families.
Yes.
Yesterday I was talking to someone, nemugamba nti ebizibu byonna bye tulina mu nsi eno, kale ebintu byonna, the good and the bad, biva mu families. The good and the bad biva mu families.
I agree with you.
And I remember one time pinning my mom nga mugamba okimanyi nti naawe otandise okwetegeera nga tukuze, something like that.
Yes.
You get it?
Yeah.
Because you be a parent, nga nawe teweemanyi, you have a husband, naye tomumanyi, you get children. Before you try to know the husband, the children come in.
Yes.
Now you go now to the children. Like nawe teweemanyi, kati ozze ku baana. You get it? So by the time you go back to know yourself, already oli walookinga ensonga ki bagamba oyigiriza omuntu omukulu kizibu. Yeah?
Yes, yes.
So kati family nebanga omuzadde waba akukuzanga ali broken because some of our parents have come from broken backgrounds.
Yes.
Bwabanga ali broken, how different do you think it's going to be for you?
Gomwana.
How different do you think? All the traumas is a item, they will always reflect on you. Because she didn't heal through them. They were not addressed. If she
So
grew
does
up,
that parent, okay, if it's a mother, do they transfer to the babies ng'akyali mu lubuto? Ago neyo gyayisemu, ennaku gyayisemu.
the transfer tebeera mu lubuto eyinza obutabeera mu lubuto, but it can be physical. Bw'aba yakula nga bamubogolera, do you think it will be very different? Not okujjako nga yeeterezeza yekozeemu omulimu naye ajja kubogolera, and it will not come off like enjoyinga, but because it was the experience, the upbringing. That's why in the causes twayogeddeko upbringing. Bw'aba yakula mu kifo nga the place is disorderly, like he doesn't have order, do you expect that person to have order unless they tried to do a work on themselves? Okitegeera. Bw'aba yakula mu family eri manipulative, toxic. Do you expect anything different? I think it's this is seen so much in ku mirimu abantu basobola okwekweka okumaskinga ne tutabamanya nnyo. But if you start relating with a person like a relationship, or now the husband and wives can tell us better. They get the raw form of that person.
Yes.
The toxic behaviors.
Alina byayiseemu ne byayize gyesaali abamuteyahiiringa.
And that's why we are saying invest in your mind, because back then we used not to invest to know what is it that I need to heal from, what is it that I need to do better, what are my triggers, biki ebinjijako, what are the things that make me better, and I would shock you further that even nowadays you can ask someone what are your hobbies and they need to get like 5 minutes or 0 words. They don't know, they don't have. Do you know how bad that is? When you don't have like something that you like doing? Jebali.
Oba abamu nga tamanyi balina okumukwata ku mukono bakimuleetere atuuke wagamba ate kati kino nkyagala.
Oli obajja kugamba nti okay, I like swimming. Swimming is my hobby. Ombuuze, when is the last time you went swimming? They don't remember. So that is not your hobby. Ninga kyogamba kyoyagala kyekukusanyusa.
Yes. I get it.
Someone will tell you, I've heard people say that my children are my hobby. Your children cannot be your hobby. That is not your hobby. Like hobbies, like we need, you know, these are the things that can really boost our mental health before the government comes in. These are the things that we need to do for us. Find a hobby, like do something that really makes you happy. That even when you've been through stressful events, at least you know that maybe I'll get an hour in that day and do something that I really like.
Earlier on, you hinted on broken families and people who are coming from broken families. How do those people heal? Like past traumas ezo omuntu azihealinga katya? Because tuli mu society kati saawa zino n'abantu abalina ebiwundu ebivudde obuto. Akuze either muzadde we yali mukambwe nnyo oba ewaka baali bamukuba oba bazadde be baali balwanagana and everything. How best do you advise this person to heal? Oba omuntu ono ahealinga atya mu mbeera eyo? Because owuliriza discussions ez'enjawulo oziwulira nga ziddayo emabega ku kyeyitamu nga muto, oba obuto bwaffe buno bushapinga butya obukulu bwe tuli?
Okay, kanzireyo ku personality nayogedde ku kikula ky'omuntu. Ekikula kyaffe kifomingibwa of course society, the different exposures and the experiences we go through nga tukula. Yensonga lwaki omuzadde asobola okugamba ono omwana yali musirise naye kati mwewuunya okuba nga ayogera. The personality now is being formed and formed and formed and formed.
Ekoma ku myaka emeka okukyuka?
Nyinza ogamba terinaako myaka. Even like now, whichever kind of personality you have, if you do a very deep evaluation, you can start adopting another personality.
Really?
Yeah.
ne bw'aba awezezza emyaka 4 oba 5 era asobola okukyuka n'afuna personality endala.
They are okay. Let me give an example. We can adopt different personalities depending mu environment. Kyova omuntu omu ajja kugamba nti nze I carry different personalities to different places.
Bwe mbeera wano mboono bwe ntuuka wano ate ne mbeera bwento.
Okitegera.
Yes.
I'll give an example. I'm going to relate to myself. I have an obsessive personality. And I realized that I'm so obsessed with order, like clean things, like things put
Everything to be in order.
like you don't turn
Abamu
my
gye
phone
bayita
like
OCD.
this, that. I have that kind of thing.
Yes.
That I reached a time nekintawaanya nnyo nga ne bwe mba neebase ne njijukira nti ekikopo mu kiyungu nakitaddewo kitalina kubeera ne bwe ziba ssaawa musanvu ogw'ekiro nja kuzuukuka ngene ekiteeke we kirina okubeera.
Yes.
It was so bad for me, like it was really so bad. Nti ne bwe mba njaze obuliri, oh God, mbasagaana. So it was really so bad. Yes. But kati jukira oli bwotyo. Now there are some people that are carefree. Oba ekikopo kitaddewa, oba kaddewa mati kali katya, oba akato mu ntebe kali katya, oba brangiti etunudde etya, like they don't care. Yeah. So just imagine you in the same room with that kind of person. Like
ojana kunyigira bwerere.
Thank you. Not even kunyiga. Now what happens? Like mentally you get disturbed. Like it is so bad. I'm telling out of experience. It is so bad that you feel like something is really not right. Yeah. But this is what happened. So I realized that not that everyone is that.
Yes.
And yet thank you.
They start complaining on what, but that is your personality.
Not that everyone is like that. So how am I going to adopt? So I started training my mind that actually it's okay to mutebo kwera ante kali straight okwera ante kai nawe
atoka iteko
webake okay rabire so yeah. Like it was painfully netandika okubanga ngezaako kyekolera nze mwennyini nga ngenda nakato nekasuula wansi okigezeeko ndabe nti kati omulala waba akikoze, can I try to adopt, like can I try to be okay with it? So I tried to train my mind, actually it's okay to sleep ng'ebintu biddugala. It's okay to sleep nga newe nalinga neba kange suka zange saga zefunye. Just imagine you sleeping
neba kira ku position eno bweti wana wasigalenga wayonjo,
like wasigalenga wali in order,
nga wali neat.
So I try to train my mind. So what I mean that these personalities, we just train ourselves to adopt, because already it's part of you. These personalities are part of you, but you can evolve through them and learn how to deal with them and learn how to handle them. I think that's what I can say. Okay. So at any age you can of course adopt another personality, but that doesn't mean they're completely everyday dala. They can be suppressed sometimes. Okay. And then to check actually in psychology chetwita zi defense mechanisms over I think I can call it okwewolereza. Yes. To omuntu nanga sakoze kino lwakuba kino. Sakoze kino lwakuba kino.
Annyonnyola nnyo.
Sakoze kino lwakuba kino. They don't
want yandetedde obutakikola bwe yayogedde bwati ne bwati ate ne sikikola.
Yes. So wagambe the upbringing abantu abayise in toxic families that are traumatized and all that, ne batuuka mbukula olumu bivaayo. Omanyi lwaki bivaayo? Kubanga wakula obisuppressinga. So suppression is a defense mechanism. You suppressing.
Just let go.
Buli kye bakubako nze nsirika. You can't talk about it, you can't share with anyone, you just
keep quiet.
Yes. And nowadays we use the word letting go, but we don't even know what letting go is. Thank you. You don't just kwesonyiwa. It doesn't work like that. It's just a word, but there is a lot of actions that have to back it up for you to be actually, I really let go. Okay. So to answer your question, it is important. We should invest in us, like we should get time for us. Investing, ngabona gama nti njagala business kantandika okusavinga, oba let me get on a course for business. That's why therapists are here.
Okay.
That's why we ask you to get hobbies. That's why we ask you to find people that you can talk to. That's why we ask you to journal, yeah? That's why we ask you to really like assess your mind. There are so many things that you can do.
But in Africa, we don't have that habit of journaling. It's something that is actually growing.
Yeah.
Kati sawa zino, of course, abavoka bibajiri mwenyo. For someone to sit down and write, olunakule lutambudde lutya? Oba okuwandika ku bimunyiga, oba ku bimutawaanya. I'll use myself as an example. One time I tried writing those things. Kati nentuuka mu kkubo nga bwe nzirayo ne mbisoma. Binyiiza.
And exactly that is what you are. Kati olaba ekyo nga bw'owandiika. Nga bw'okiwandiika. It is like you're releasing it. You see like how we talk about things. It's like you're releasing. Ne bw'ogenda maybe for a therapy session, a counselor. Sometimes sayina nnyo by'amaanyi by'agenda kugamba. But you pouring out. You crying if you need to cry. You laughing if you need to laugh.
Yes.
That is already enough treatment for you. Asobola n'okugamba kati wandiika buli ekikunyiiza oba muganda we yakunyiiza kiwandiike. And then you write. After they will ask you, how do you feel? Well, actually, I feel much better. Gwe mwennyini like gwabyewandiikidde.
Yes.
So bw'ogamba mu Africa tetulina muze journaling and all that. Bingi bye tutalina nno meanwhile. Kubanga olaba tukula in families eziri busy. Families bw'otunuulirako mu nsi z'ebweru buli mwana abeera treated a certain way. Like they pay attention, onayagala kino, onayagala kino.
N'obutabo.
Thank you.
Ninga ate muntu mukulu.
Neffe wano ebyo tetubirina. Omuzadde alina abaana 7. Alina onoonya ekyokulya. Alina okukola ki. That's already a lot of work for that parent. Kati okutandika okuwa obudde amanye Irene kikyayagala, Gift kikyayagala, Allen kikyayagala. Like sometimes bambi obasaasira. Though we ask them to really do that. So it is so happens that omuntu bw'okula nga tofunye that kind of treatment of expressing yourself. That's why some of us end up expressing to the wrong people, or we end up in relationships with what was the Twitter attachment? Tukula an attachment says there is an anxious attachment or an avoidant. Nti omwana yakula nga bw'akaaba bamuhaginga.
Yes.
Oyo mwana wanjawulo. Omwana yakula nga bw'akaaba bamugamba sirika.
Genda kabireri.
Oyo naye wanjawulo. Kati if you're relating with those two people, those are different kinds of people. Kati ono gwe basirisanga sirika. You will not have that person open up like this one gwe bawambatiranga.
Yes.
Do you get the difference? Yes. So that is all upbringing. But that's why I'm saying that when we know better, like we really need to do better. Bomanya nti I need now to do a deep evaluation of how was my upbringing, biki bye nayitamu, biki ebyanyizanga. No bitekayo out there. Like you assess them bulungi and like kati kino nino kitereeza. Because we want to break patterns. Mental health is on the rise because of the patterns.
Okay.
We're not breaking patterns. You grow up from an abusive family, you enter a relationship, you also be abusive.
Because what you
didn't break the pattern.
You didn't heal.
You didn't heal. I think I'm even glad that nowadays we have a lot of healing sessions, people that do emotional healing, coaching, like, of course, places you can go and just pour out your feelings and all that, because we've not been having those places.
Yes.
We've not been. We have people that are supporting each other and so many things. Then there is something I wanted to mention about that is really underrated. Because now we're emphasizing how do we invest in our minds?
Yes.
How do we deal with our mental health? Like invest in your mind as you invest in your money and all that. Tufayo nnyo kungulu, like
nendabikayo n'ogula n'olugoye olupya n'akawoowo.
Ogula olugoye olupya, you do your nails, you make up your hair. Those some that do, there are some that even don't really mind. Ebyokungulu tubifaako. Remember the mental part. The mental part is everything around you. What you see, what you hear, what you like. Everything around you, that what you see is important, what you hear is important, everything is important. But I would give this very best example of how to invest in our minds. Yeah. There is what we call order. Yeah. We usually tell people, okay, me personally, I usually say that you are as good as your mind. Whatever you're thinking of, whatever is in your head, that is who you are. Not how you've put on. Whatever it is in your head, and like people that are watching us now, what it is that is going through your head, that is who you are. That is the truth.
Yes.
Binebyo kungulu, it's a mask. But whatever is going on in your head, that is who you are. Yeah? That's why I'm like, mental health is like broad. What you see, what you hear, biki byowuliriza, biki byolaba, like all that. So enhancing our mental health, I feel like from the word go, we need to invest in our spaces. Spaces from where you sleep. Where you sleep, like from in the house. Kubanga osulotya enyumba eryetya ojja kuva ewaka ojje wano ku mulimu olowooze nti omulimu gwe gukunyiizizza, olowooze nti boosi muzibu nnyo, olowooze nti like bokola nabo era be babye nnyo something. It's not about that sometimes.
Okay.
It is from home. So I feel like each one of us can reflect back home.
Yeah.
Reflect kati ekyungu kiyitemu kiveemu. Tulako mu ddiiro. Ddiiro liveemu. Genda
mu lukuubo kale
tambula mu lukuubo abalina enkuubo. Olukuubo luveemu, tunulako mu kinaabiro. Ekinaabiro kiveemu. You go to where you sleep. So I want to first exclude these other areas. Tugende wennyini w'osula. How is that place? Do you like it? Do you like where you sleep? Okay, we are imagining.
Yes.
Do you like where you sleep? If you don't like where you sleep, kiki ky'owulira nga kyetaaga okukyukamu in your bedroom, like the area where you are sleeping. Kiki ky'owulira kyetaaga okukyukamu? Because like I said, mental health is about even what we see, what we hear. Like our environment affects so much.
I've had people bagamba I have a routine. Work, home. Work, home. Tainaako any other activities zakola. Tatambula bana bagala nnyo okutambula, traveling and everything. Nti ye ewaka n'omulimu yensi ye.
Kati nabo kati mube encouraging to find hobbies. That is not enough. Like that is not enough. You can't have that life. It is not enough. You need exposure. You need to relate with other people. Anyway, chembade rachimbalaga mu kisenge. Bolaba in the outside world. Bolaba ebisenge by'abaana. Otera okulaba colors ze babateramu.
Omuwala bajjamu wa pink oba purple, then omulenzi bamuteremu blue. Bamuteremu cartoons ezo Spider-Man bani kwega bintu bya kisajja nnyo.
Do you see the lights? Wezifanana the lights?
Yes, I do.
You see the lights?
Yes.
Do you see the kind of order? A bit.
Waliwo obutabo omwana bw'alina okusoma, waliwo akatebe w'alina otuula akolerera wakawe, we yeebaka, wa meditating and everything.
So I feel like we need to copy the same. To be taken maka gaffe. Look at your bedroom. Which colors? It doesn't matter. Neboboli mu single room. Which colors do you have in the house? Kubanga for mental health, colors zikola kinene nnyo.
Oh.
They heal or they can like damage you. Colors.
Balandlord balina kala emu gye baafuna gye batuteera mu nnyumba.
You can talk to your landlord. Yensonga lwaki bw'otuuka mu ddwaliro ojja sangayo white, pink, which colors?
Ka green or rose.
Ka green oba ka blue. Read about those colors and ask yourself why. If you go in a hotel, wala sanze esooka za black oba red or something. Thank you. Read about white. White and sleep. Like white bed sheets and sleep.
Kyokka ate ffe twagala nnyo ki brown ekyo, ki grey, kuba tekiguba mangu.
Thank you. But that is already taking a toll on you. Kati nkulaga obuzibu gye buva. Kati tuleke bino nakula bwenti mampisa bubi nnyo. Kati essaawa eno ky'oliko, kiki ekyo ky'oliko. Kyongera buzibu ku byaliwo edda oba like it's making it better. So okay, what I wanted to say that for your mental health, for you to invest in your mental health, you need to invest in where you sleep. Because where you are sleeping, your bedroom, it is like a bleeding, like it's studio. It births ideas. it is that place, it's a healing, it should be a healing environment.
Yes.
Because ng'obikoze byonna odduse okakalukanya okoze eki, it's where you find solace, it's where you find rest.
Yes.
Just imagine now going to rest nga it's trouble there. The sheets are dirty. Wansi oyinayo cases abaana mulimu ebitabo. Oyinayo engatto wansi w'ekitanda.
Wajjudde buli kimu, amabaafu byonna oterekeeyo.
Amabaafu oterekeeyo, okyayina engoye z'otakozesa, like the room is suffocated. Just trust me 100% on this. Osobola okikola bw'ova ku mulimu leero abatulaba gende wakotandika ofulumya ebintu mu kisenge. Ebiri wansi w'ekitanda obijjeyo. Okay, start removing things. You will tell, if you can, ojja kuba wano ku digital talk obagambe I feel better. You will feel better 100%.
Okay.
And that thing is very biblical. Even God himself, God was the God of order. God expects us to have order because it enhances our mental health. So as you're cleaning your space, you're also cleaning your mind. Kubanga wobeera nga oyina ebintu ebikadde, things that connect you to past memories. They usually say maybe you've been in a relationship with someone yakuwa akagoye kono kyakaterese. Every time you think of the cloth, you think of the other person who was even toxic. Instead of like all those things kati bye bituletera okubanga we depressed, very stressed, almost stressed ebambola kuba sina sente sina mulimo. There are those simple things.
Yes.
Yeah. So we need to, before the government comes in, we need to do something as us. Then was another thing. Of course, like I said, we grew up from different backgrounds and we have different personalities. But you also need to learn to deal with people. You need to learn to be an accountable person. You need to learn. Thank you. You need to learn to be a responsible person.
Yeah.
How does it come to be responsible? To people that read the Bible, we see in the Bible of how different people didn't want to take responsibilities. Kubanga Allen tebamugambako, Gift tebamugambako, era jagamba sinze gundi. Like we do a shift blame, like a blame game or something like that. Kubanga tetwagala fe kuwulira nti nenyezebwa. Yeah, so you always shift and shift and shift, or displace and all that. Kati gwene weteka mu kifonti. How can I say it?
Muzibu okubeera naye embeera zenzibu.
Embeera zenzibu, but we should know nti tetusobola kuba perfect, not at any one time. So bw'oba oli muntu nga gwe you expect perfection all the time, then you can't deal with people. Mentally they are going to break you down and you're also going to break them down. Yeah? So as we want to invest in our mental health, taking responsibility is very important. Bw'oba olina ekintu ky'okoze, say sorry.
Apologize.
That heals a lot. It will heal you, it will heal the other person. Let's try to always make time for things that we really love.
Yes.
If you say that I love cooking, make time for it. Be like, today I want to try this recipe. If you like watching movies, make time for it. And also you need to know, like I said, what you watch, all those kinds of things.
What you feed your mind with.
What you feed your mind is with. So sit down and be like, okay, I like movies. Which kind of movies give me life?
Yes.
You want to listen to music, do that, like do something that you like. So before we cry and be like, government, like, come, our mental health is at stake. What have you done?
Okay, let me thank Kamlegia Joseph Daraus for watching. He says, I don't act weird, but people say, I. Abantu bamugamba ali awa ali weird, embeera ze tezitegerekeka naye ng'ate ye mu kulaba okukwe yeraba nga ali okay, yeraba nga ali fine. Then we have Nachiso Zetedi. Thank you so much for watching. Agamba, thanks for this show. It's so educative. Thank you, Nachiso, for also watching. Nabalala bali ku Facebook. I'm going to be reading some of the comments and some of the questions. Zemugenda okuweereza. Kakati tuli ku nsonga ya mental health. Otubulidde bingi nnyo. Wetwogerera abaana beetuga. I've had issues zensomyeko bazendabyeko. Omwana ng'agamba leka obukiiti bantwala ku ssomero lino naye saagalayo, bambuulinga naye maama wange tawuliriza oba tatange tawuliriza because they don't have money, so they keep me in that school. When I was in primary, nali ku ssomero erimu abaana babbuli. So what I did, because I was too small, I befriended them. But upon befriending them, nalabanga, of course, bibakola si birungi. But then you can't open your mouth because bagenda chuka at any point. Batandika okuattackinga gwe. How best do you advise parents when it comes to these kids babahandulinge batya era n'amasomero kiki kyegeetaaga okubanga gakola because abaana bangi abafa because of issues ezituukawo mu masomero abaana bababulinga abaana beekyaye they just resort to drugs.
Okay, so I think nowadays drugs nyingi, yes. Addictions nyingi nnyo. We're using a lot of people are addicted to so many things, which is very unhealthy. But of course, Bachkola as an escape route, like they're escaping from the reality.
Okay.
Afuna ekibuzabuza. Just to run away from what the actual thing is. Simanyi, like, the better way can bring it out. Yeah?
Kibonyezeza bamubulinga. Naye atokula okudduka kwekyo kye abaana bamubulinga. Either agenda kunoonya ekikoosi aba drugs oba batoloka ku masomero. Just yeebulize eyo.
Yes. So, tuyina behaviors ez'enjawulo. Ate behaviors zikola kinene nnyo ku bulamu bwaffe. So, I've heard many people, of course, osobola okunenya family nti the mama takoze kimala, tata takoze kimala, tampadde budde takoze kino. Also osobola onenya essomero. Like I somero liri bwediti ne bwediti. But like nga bwe nkugambye initially nga tutandika, there are so many factors that come into play. Yeah? You've talked about the bullying. So someone to escape or to feel like they are also strong, ajja kunoonya ekintu ekisobola omuwa that confidence. Some of us have low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. Ate ng'eyo evudde era like from home, definitely.
Nti buli wayogeranga nga bakusirisa bakuteeka down.
Yeah, oba you seemed not to be important. Your views were not important. Nga bwe boyogera batwala kyamulala. Yeah. The difference. But also, there can be a thing of me having higher expectations. Nti ono bwaba muzadde wange bwaba ayina ssente, I expect ABCD. So my expectations are way up here. Naye ng'ate omuzadde tajja kunnyonnyola why he or she can't meet those expectations even when they have the money. Naye nga gwe omwana, your expectations are up there. So if you don't meet those expectations, you'll find an escape route.
Yes.
But I've also talked about a bit of us having a low esteem, so we get into peers that will give us a sense of belonging, that will maybe give meaning to our lives. Yeah. Some of us, it is because we can't open up. We can't open up, not at all.
Yeah.
Just imagine you've been raped. How do you start telling people, your mother, your father, that have been ABCD? And then it is taking a toll on you. You get something, so the drugs, the alcohol and all that, yeah? You've talked about the suicide, where the suicide comes in. Suicide can come in from the different areas. It can come in maybe from the drugs, it can come in from the depression, it can come in. But also for the suicide, we say, usually there has to be something in the family. Like, if you trace back, you'll be like, there is someone that has ever done it. It can run in families. That's why you see back then, I think Uganda culture or something, something like that, such that it cut off from the family.
Yes.
But I don't know whether those things work. But yeah. What I know, it's you just have to go back and trace what was the cause of suicide. Because depression as depression, that's why I told you, I'm just depressed. That is a big thing. It's too big. Nti tuli kuchifulanga ekitayina maanyi, and yet yes, we're making it normal. And someone was telling me, well, simaya mukwano gwe yamusindikira message nga amugamba they want to commit suicide. Mumunene amudama naawe oba ofafa ffe tulinayo naffe ebitutawaanya olowooza gwalina ebizibu weka. And this other person we alaba message agamba negwe mbadde ndowooza njagala naye tanjagala. Just imagine telling that person that already when they're at a verge of wanting to lose their lives. So that is just like abanga is just a bullet you get it, yeah. So us going through so many things, abana baita bintu bingi from schools, the competition is so high, social media is taking a toll, there are a lot of fantasies here, and we are with it 24/7.
In relation to also the government coming on board, tuina technology, tuina social media apps nyingi nnyo ezimeruseewo ezituguidinga ku butya bwe tusobola okwetereza in case we have mental issues or mental problems. Emikutu gino gikola nga ggwe because kati gwe field ogibaddemu, this is like okwekolako check up no concluding nga notandika okwewa eddagala, because that's what we do. Ezimu apps temuzitulagirira mwegamwe. But the first question, do these apps work?
For mental health? Yes. Yeah, they do. They work.
Nekatandika tukola self-medication. Netwejanjaba.
Of course, we don't really encourage the self-medication because you see, like even what I've talked about here, it's not every day you're like, I've just tackled a few things.
Atenga bingi.
Unless you've gotten time with a medical personnel, and then they start taking you into details of, now for you this is your problem, because we are different people. It's not one size fit all. It's not like the way I'll handle you, it's not the same way I'm going to handle Joseph, the way I'm going to handle myself. It's not the same way I should handle you. We are different people, exposed to different things, having different beliefs and values, like we are different. The same thing, even you've talked about the substance, people that use substances and drugs. You see, like we have all the rehabs and all those things, but it's not that everyone needs a rehab.
Just around to
not that everyone needs a rehab. So, like, we have to just know that every person has to be managed differently. Yeah, differently. So social media, the apps can work, but not entirely. You can't depend on the app and you'll be like, okay, I'm going to be here, read about depression, then I'll know where I fall. It's not enough. You need someone to do a thorough assessment, take thorough history, because as you're reading, the app is not going to take your history. But if we are together, I'll even know from your tone. When you're talking, I'll know from your tone, your facial expression. I think, okay, this is what we should know, that if someone that is into psychiatry, they can tell just like looking at you. No, I'm not. No, like from appearance, I can, like you can start from the appearance, because that says a lot about the person. Okay. Because now for me the colors are important. The colors you're putting on in mental health, they speak a lot. The colors you'll put on, and I'll know this person is in this kind of
situation.
This situation or this situation. The colors do a lot, from the ones you have on the nails, like everything. Your hair, like everything. No, yeah, but so that's why, like, you need to go into, like, see a medical personnel such that they can do a very good, you know, assessment to establish what the problem is. Then these ones can be just an added advantage, but not like entirely relying on them.
Kalyango Musa Mutesa Sira, thank you so much for watching. Agamba, that's why we still believe that beating children is the correct way to upbringing our children, until we acknowledge that beating us was a lack of knowledge by our parents to handle ways of solving conflicts. We will continue doing whatever our parents did wrongly. I've had my mother say, so basically that's how parents do it. That's ayongedeko nagamba. There is a lot of self-medication in Uganda as well due to untreated mental disorders. Advising. But anyway, how best do we bring in government? Mental health. Government enira kuyingira mu kyenkana, because ogambe nga government tenna jaffe tusooka era otuwadde ffe bye tulina okukola. Naye kati government ki kyetaaga okubanga ekola okulaba nti ensonga eno eya mental health eteekebwa ku mwanjo n'efuulibwa ensonga ey'amaanyi mu ggwanga?
What the government should do, I think, one, ngenda kutandikira ku bantu redda abali I was going to say exposed, people that are already sick, okay, that are already diagnosed. There are so many of us that are sick, but we're just not in hospitals. I think, was it last year, but one or last year when New Vision brought out certain statistics of the 14 million Ugandans that are sick.
Yes.
And apparently in Uganda we have one psychiatric hospital.
Butabika.
And it's full to
capacity.
It should be full. Yes. It should be full. If you go into the different centers, like hospitals, of course they have psychiatric units. Of course the minister has tried to put psychiatric units there, but
Techimala,
okay, Techimala, because of course the hospital has other, like, the physical condition, so yes. I feel like a lot of energy is put onto that, that we overlook this other, the psychiatric, the mental part of it. And you'll find in some hospitals, of course, they also have counseling departments, like they have a counselor there, but they don't usually have maybe a psychiatrist or a mental specialist there. They don't. They maybe stop on a counselor and all that. Or maybe probably after a doctor is seeing the patient and diagnosing, they can refer them to either go to Butabika or, you know.
Yes.
And so I would ask the government if they can maybe put more psychiatric hospitals. Yeah. Okay, that is to people that are already, you know, sent into hospitals and all that. Okay. And of course, I would also ask the government to address the stigma that is around mental health, because if the government comes out and they do talk about it, like they did with COVID, there was a lot of awareness going on. Yes. If the government can put in a lot of like effort, of course I know there are resources needed, money and all that. If that can be availed and a lot of sensitization and awareness is done, there are certain mental disorders that can be curbed, like that can be stopped before they progress to someone actually getting into a mental hospital. Because it's just a matter of knowing, like some of the things we've talked about. You know that, okay, it's important to know when I'm dealing with a pregnant woman, because now you don't want them after giving birth, they get into depression or they get into psychosis. We've had cases of omukyala amaze okuzaala kana ayagala katta oba ayagala kalya or something.
We've had postpartum depression. We
have the peripheral psychosis, like someone after giving birth they become psycho. Like yes, they become psycho. So it is because of what they went through during the pregnancy. You get it. So you get to know that if I'm dealing with a pregnant woman, when you know more quarter. So if the government can add in effort into awareness and sensitization, I know tegenda kujam families zaffe tandike tugamba boti wabokuza omwana omwami muyise boti omukyala muyise boti ababosi abakozi mwe bayise bwe bati, you know, like it might not break down those different things, but of course people that are already into the profession can go around and help us break them down, like talk about mental health in the workplace, mental health in schools, mental health in families, like in the different areas, because it's all different. Yeah, but it can gear, like it can put more emphasis onto awareness that actually mental health disorders are like to the like they have reached, I don't know how I can say it, because right now tulina endwadde ezabulijjo musujja, sukali and all those kinds of things, but you know even that is causing more mental health issues. Someone dealing with someone that has a chronic disease, I've seen people that have dealt with their relatives that have had cancer for a long time, that have had those HIV. Yes, and after eventually maybe probably that person has died. Do you know what it means? Like, do you know now what this person who has been a caretaker, what they are going through? It is a lot. So I feel like even the government should put up more rehabilitation centers. Of course in Butabika there is a rehabilitation, but I feel like we need more, because there are some of us that can't afford the rehabilitation centers that are private because of the money. And yet if the government has rehabilitation centers that can accommodate us that don't have that a lot of money, it can help, it can even be helpful. Rehabilitation centers are known for substances and drugs, but there are also other behaviors that need to be rehabilitated, that need, you know, just imagine omuzadde akugamba. One time I was in a salon and this lady is like, omwana ange yantama mpulira njagala namutta. Like, she said oli omwana simwagala kyokka first born wange simwagala saagala mulabako mpulira ne bwafa sirumwa. Like the lady was saying those things out of pain nga n'amazigo ogalaba. And I'm like, can you imagine how mentally disturbed, like how how her mental state is? Like this lady might be really been traumatized, or like she's mentally not okay. So I even didn't want to concentrate on the child, but my focus was on the mother. Your mother saying that she doesn't.
But due to time, mchala gift, oba musawo gift. Njagala owe abalabi bange akatalekeka ke tutakonyeeko naye nga kakulu nnyo ku nsonga ya mental health mu dakiika ng'emu oba bbiri.
Okay. I think bingi bye tutakonyeeko. Naye nina kye njagala okwempasayizinga ekyokwefaako ffe nga ffe. Twetaaga okweyisa. We need to treat ourselves a certain way omuntu omulala gy'atayinza tutreatinga. Tuleme okulinda abantu abalala tuyisa obulungi
naye nga ffe
nga tetweyisa bulungi. Okweyisa obulungi sitegeeza mpisa. Okay, empisa is what? Yeah. Like empisa nga bwe bakyogera.
Kaweke katono nnyo ku kinene.
Yeah, okweyisa obulungi ntegeeza treating yourself so well. Treating yourself. How do you treat yourself? You treat yourself by being careful of the things you do, the things you say, the things you think about, the people you relate with. You should love yourself so much not to entertain certain things. Yeah, we've seen people that complain about certain jobs. They complain from day one, and then you're like, but if you don't have a solution, there is nothing you can do about that job, then you because now you're also becoming toxic for the company.
Productive.
Thank you. Boss chair and yagadde omuntu complaining buli saawa. And then they will tell you, no, it's because I want the money, I don't have an option. Money should never be a reason as to why you go through hell. Money should never be the reason. Because at the end of that day, you'll get all the money but still be messed up the more. So you need to love yourself than any other person. You need to set boundaries that no one is going to set for you. And those boundaries, of course, they should be health boundaries. Yeah? If we say that invest in your mind, invest in love. Eat right. Make sure you get enough sleep. Of course, the phones are here to stay, the social media, the data and all that. Take time off. It's very okay to take time off. It's not that everything that comes here you need to watch it. It's not that you have to go in every place, like maybe tugenda wano waliyo vibe and all that. Not that every place is for you. Yeah. Where you stay in your home, try to create an environment that is good for you. Tolinda kumala genda ku picnic or ku retreat or Gombereri. One time I was talking to married people and I was telling them, you guys, when you go out in a hotel, how do you feel? I don't know, the ladies was like, of course we feel good, the hotel room is nice and all that. And I'm like, why don't you do that in your home? Yeah. Why do you wait to pay for it and yet you can have it in your home? So the things that you can do for you that can make you feel good, yeah, please do them.
Okay.
Nebo kiba kyetagisa kuteekamu mutwalo waliwo ebimu nga tebyetaaga ssente. Cleaning your home might not need money. You might not have all the fancy kinds of things we talk about social media, and you don't need all that. You just need basic things. And also the expectations shouldn't be so high on yourself. Okay. Of course, other people can expect so much, but for you don't expect so much because you know yourself. And also maybe lastly, let's take time to know us. Please take time to wansi and do that almost on a weekly basis, or if that is too much, every after 3 months. Wetuuze wansi ogambe kati biki byenjagala biki byessaagala. I've been relating with this person for this time, we've been friends. How has she impacted my life? How has he impacted my life? ankosezza atya mu bulungi n'embubi. Do those evaluations kuba ebyo ebintu bye tutatunulamu bituleetera okutabuka. Ffe nogeno mu community ne tukulabanga omuwala tategeerekeka ali weird omuwala. But you've had a pile of things, you've had a lot of hatred amongst your friends, jealousy, or secretive, you don't have anyone to share with. Like, you've made your life a certain way that is now it's showing up. And for mental health, it will pile and pile and pile, but trust me, it will come out.
Okay, thank you so much, Musawo Gift. Kubantu munango sharing a lot about mental health. It's a lesson to all of us. Twekolemu omulimu munange tuyige tunonye okumanya naye ate bw'obwanga ogenze ku apps zino oba ogenze ku search engines ez'enjawulo no searching about mental health by'osomyawo si bye byenkomeredde si bye bikwata kwabula weetaaga omukugu asobola okubuulira nti oli mu mbeera bweti ne bweti era weetaaga okuba ng'otereeza mu kino na kino naye ate ebintu ebisinga bijja kutereera nga tutandikidde ku ffe ewaka awo wafaanana watya wasembadde okugula ekintu ekirungi mu kisenge kyo kale wasembadde okusula ku masuuka amalungi aganyirira so bwe weeinvestingamu Mumbejja Farida tatuga nti fe yingini bwoba gwe yingini eyo ogikolako service era otwala kaddeki okutuula wansi ne weefumitiza noga okay ndi bwenti ne bwenti ekikula kyange kiri bwekiti ne bwekiti naye ate nsobola okukyusamu wano na wano oba bino nsobola bigumiikiriza bino sinsobola bigumiikiriza. Let us learn to say no where necessary. Bwe baba bakugamba ekintu nga kikunyigiriza kama nti nedda weeyogereko bw'oteyogerako tewali muntu mulala agenda kufaako ne badde discussion nonje nyo kansubire naawe olina ekyenjawulo kyogiyizeemu to all our viewers ababaddeko nga bali mu kulaba nsusizaamuko ku budde because waliwo akabadde katalekeka akabadde alina okuba nga atubuulira but gwe abadde alaba nkusaba sharing video eno obe nga ate nno munnange naawe obaako omulala gw'oyamba nga bw'oteeka amaanyi mu kunoonya ssente bw'oba oteeka amaanyi mu kulaba nti obwongo bwo buli mu mbeera ennungi oba buli mu mbeera eyeeyagaza ne government guno mulanga gwammwe okuba nti mukola ekyetaagisa okulaba nti ensonga ya mental health ate tugiteeka ku mwanjo nnyo kubanga abantu kati bagendera ddala mu maaso n'okubanga batawaanyizibwa issues eziva ku kubeera nti tebali mentally okay naye nga ate ebimu bisobola okubeera nga bikwatibwako. So I'm going to wish you a wonderful day. Kansabe omutonzi akkirize omulundi omulala ate nomunnange mukyala Gift benga ate tumufuna ayongera okubanga alambulula bingi betutakonyeeko because tugenze tukona ku kino nakiri naye ate tujja kufuna obaoliawo emiramu egy'enjawulo gye munaabamuweereza ate okubanga munaye tumusaba akomewo ayongere okugirambululako. Mental health munnange ekintu kikulu nnyo kyewetaaga okubanga owa obudde. To the viewers and the entire team gyenkoze naye olunaku olwaleero, thank you so much. Kambagaliza olunaku olungi tusisinkana omulundi ogujja mweraba.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.